Good morning. I'm meteorologist Kevin Smith at the National Weather Service in Pocatello with your weather hazard briefing for Southeast Idaho for Wednesday, July 13th. So it was quite hot out there across Southeast Idaho for your Tuesday, and basically what we're going to do, we're going to take that forecast, we're going to toss some thunderstorms out there on top of it, and then we're going to copy and paste it into just about every day over the next week or so. This is a pattern we're just not going to be able to get out of here for quite a while across the region. So looking at our key points here over that period, the heat continues. We're expecting high temperatures to reach 90 to 99 degrees today for almost all of our lower elevation and valley population centers. Tacking on to that, low temperatures this morning are only coming in at about 62 to 72 degrees for portions, southern portions of our forecast area, particularly from Blackfoot and Craters of the Moon south. That's quite warm for overnight temperatures. And that was kind of that poor overnight recovery, that poor cooling that we were forecasting if you tuned into the briefing yesterday morning. So we're already starting warm. We're going to get a lot warmer this afternoon. We encourage everyone to practice, continue practicing heat safety and watch out for each other. Watch for those signs of heat-related illnesses, particularly if you're out working or recreating during the warmer parts of the day. Here's the thunderstorms we said we're going to toss in there. Monsoon moisture is streaming into the region from the south. It's going to stick around for a little while, and that's going to help fuel some isolated to scattered thunderstorms across the region, particularly today, looking quite good on coverage. I think there's a chance of at least an isolated thunderstorm nearby just about everywhere across our forecast area this afternoon. Best timing for that's going to be 2 p.m. to 10 p.m. We may shut down a little earlier than that in portions of the Central Mountains and also the Eastern Magic Valley, but some storms lingering possibly until about 10 o'clock as you head into the Eastern Highlands. I'll show you that here in just a moment. Primary threats, lightning, certainly going to be out there, along with some gusty winds, possibly over 50 miles an hour with a few of the storms. I think the atmosphere is quite capable of that today. A little bit lower threat of maybe a few instances of some small hail, some pea to dime size hail, kind of secondary to that wind and lightning threat with the activity today. Then looking forward, heat and daily thunderstorm chances are going to continue from Thursday right through the upcoming weekend and probably beyond that as well as we kick off a new week. We'll see a little bit of ebb and flow every day. Some days will be just a couple degrees warmer. Some days will be just a couple degrees cooler. May have a couple days we back off on that thunderstorm chance. In particular, right now, Saturday is looking drier compared to other days in the forecast. But this is the pattern that we're going to be locked into for a while across the region. Breaking it down in your weather risk outlook, a lot going on here again, just like the past few days, really falls into three bins. We have heat for some zones. We have some increased breeziness out there for some areas as well. You can see that filled in here on some of the areas, particularly a concern for our fire weather partners. Not expecting anything to really reach what we consider advisory criteria or cause really any problems or damage outside of some fire weather concerns. And then a third bin, that thunderstorm chance. And you can see thunderstorms everywhere today and some isolated thunderstorms sprinkled into the forecast here for many areas as we go forward Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Right now we're holding mostly dry though on Saturday. It looks like really it's going to be heat and not so much breezy winds or thunderstorms across the region that day. So those are really the three main weather elements that we're concerned about here looking ahead over the next 5 days. Watches, warnings, advisories across the region. We continue to have a heat advisory posted for the Eastern Magic Valley, the Snake Plain corridor, down into the valleys across the Southern Highlands, and this is in effect through this evening. Again, we're not really going to lose that heat. We're going to be locked in this pattern for a while as we step forward from today, but again, we are particularly looking at those poor overnight recovery temperatures, those warm temperatures to start off the morning this morning, combined with the heat from yesterday afternoon and the continued heat today in making that advisory decision. We've also issued a red flag warning for what we call Fire Zone 427 here down across the Cassia County area and some adjacent areas here, and that is for scattered thunderstorm coverage as we get into this afternoon and this evening. And you can see red flag warnings and even excessive heat warnings also in effect south of the border into Nevada and Utah. Looking at the satellite this morning for the first day in a few days, we actually have something going on. We have a few clouds out there, and atmosphere is actually kind of warm and a little bit more moist this morning. A little bit unstable out there. Can't rule out a brief sprinkle out of a cloud or two here during the course of the morning. But again, we're waiting for this afternoon for the best heating instability, the best lift and dynamics to arrive to fuel some of those thunderstorms. I want to show this graphic before we step through each day too. This is a look at current early morning temperatures as of about 5 a.m. across southern portions of the forecast area. If you follow my pointer, here's the Pocatello area. Got American Falls Reservoir right here just to the west. This is the Interstate 86 corridor out to the junction with 84. Burley, located right about here. Look at all these readings that are 70 or warmer early this morning. Normally, we really want to see these temperatures cooler for those who do not have air conditioning, need to open up their homes, get some cooler air in there, get some relief for the human body in these warm temperature patterns. And we're just really not seeing that out there this morning, particularly again from south of Blackfoot and the Craters of the Moon area south across this area I'm showing you on the graphic. So keep that in mind here this morning. High temperatures today, very similar to yesterday. We're going for 90s for almost all of our population centers, and you can see some mid to upper 90s here in the eastern Magic Valley over toward Pocatello and down into the Raft River region. Severe weather outlook today. Generally, we're just looking for general thunderstorms. Again, we mentioned lightning and gusty winds, the primary hazards. Can't rule out an isolated storm reaching severe criteria, maybe producing some stronger winds or some larger hail, but the best chance of that is going to be the further northeast you go, up toward Island Park and particularly up into Montana and northern Wyoming. Let's take a look at one of our models. We have a lot of different high-resolution models that we get to look at here at the office. This is just one example to give you kind of a rough idea of how things may play out today. And as we always caution you, don't focus too closely on exactly where each little individual radar echo is. Different models will show you slightly different pictures. They're not all going to be completely accurate. We're just looking for the general flavor of the day here. Starting off at 1 p.m., this is a little overdone. I don't actually think we'll see this much shower activity as we get into early this afternoon. I think this model's overdoing it just a little bit. But as we step forward to 2 o'clock and then 3 o'clock, you can see thunderstorms blossoming here across the central mountain region. Some more activity in the terrain down here in Cassia County and just south of Burley and Twin Falls. Maybe some activity up toward Island Park as well. Stepping forward to 4 o'clock and 5 o'clock, we see continued activity across the north. We see this particular model excited about some thunderstorm activity congealing down here across the southern highlands. You can see a few little hit and miss echoes elsewhere, though. Again, I think everyone, even to the east of here where this model looks a little dry, I think everyone has a shot at seeing an isolated thunderstorm nearby at some point during the course of the afternoon. 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, we continue to push those storms off to the east. By 7 o'clock, we may be drying out here across a good chunk of the Central Mountains, particularly as you get westward towards Stanley and the Wood River Valley, also the Shoshone area, possibly down to Burley. And then by 8 o'clock, and then 9 o'clock, and finally 10 o'clock, most of the activity pushing east into Wyoming. Might be a light sprinkle still lingering out there tonight, maybe even overnight into Thursday morning. Again, it's going to be kind of a warm, moist air mass still in place. May not completely shut everything down, but the thunderstorm threat should largely be over by 10 o'clock in the eastern highlands. For fire weather partners, here's those breezy winds today, wind gusts shown here on the left graphic. Some areas getting up to 20 to 30 mile an hour gusts today. There will be some zones out there each of the next few days where we may see some overlap of what we call critical wind gusts and critically low relative humidity values. But we still also have some zones out there where fire weather partners are telling us all of the fuels are not yet completely critical. They're not yet completely dried out and ready to burn. So that's kind of holding back some of potential red flag warnings that we would normally be considering as we're waiting for those fuels to become critical. And over here on the right, these are low, the minimum relative humidity values during the afternoon. Some areas getting below 15%, which again is our critical threshold for red flag concerns. Stepping forward to Thursday, we lose maybe a degree or two off the highs, but I'll give you a little spoiler here, it's going to look very similar each day we show you going forward. Most areas getting into the 90s, 88 for Stanley, just a touch lower, 84 up in Island Park, but 90s for just about everywhere else. 97 again in the Pocatello area Thursday. Another round of afternoon isolated to scattered thunderstorms is expected across the region. Maybe a little bit less coverage compared to today, just a little. And really favoring the mountains Thursday, from the Central Mountains into the Upper Snake and then down across the southern and eastern highlands. Maybe a little drier in the Snake Plain, but hard to rule out an isolated thunderstorm anywhere on Thursday. And again, for fire weather partners, continued breezy conditions and some pretty dry relative humidity values. Even though we're seeing that monsoon moisture creep in and fuel these thunderstorms, we still just have a lot of dry air right down at the surface, and we're not completely going to lose that as we step forward here. High temperatures Friday, here we go again. Upper 80s for a few of the cooler spots, but predominantly 90s, 90 to 97 or so across the region. Another shot at least some isolated to scattered showers and thunderstorms Friday afternoon, fueled by that heating and that moisture that is in place. Again, favoring the mountains more than anything. And more breeziness and dryness at the surface. Wind gusts and low relative humidity values Friday afternoon. Taking a look at the weekend, temperatures Saturday and Sunday, again, broken record. We're getting up into the mid-90s for many areas just about every day. Saturday here on the left may see some values getting quite close to 100 degrees, particularly out into the eastern Magic Valley, and really no improvement as we head into Sunday. And again, we're not seeing any signs that we're going to see a storm system come in that's going to be able to penetrate a cold front far enough south to provide us really any relief in our area and break this pattern that we're in. Remember your heat safety. I threw one graphic in here today. Look before you lock. Do not leave children or pets in cars for any length of time in the hot conditions. Even cracking the window does not make a significant difference as far as how quickly the heat builds in your vehicle. So please bear that in mind as we go forward here each day of the forecast here over the next week. So heat and thunderstorms, the main concerns here as we move forward, and that is a summary of your weather hazards here for the next few days. As always, feel free to reach out to us here at the office with questions, comments, or concerns, and everyone have a great Wednesday.